to invite Mr. Justin Chin Jing Ho, the Managing Director of Gamuda Engineering, to deliver his keynote address titled Unlocking Renewable Energy for ASEAN. Justin, the stage is yours.
Excellencies, leaders from ASEAN member states, my good friend Vinny, Director General for Southeast Asia ADB, distinguished delegates, guests, ladies and gentlemen. Very good morning, everyone. My name is Justin Chin, and I'm the Managing Director of Gamuda Engineering. It's an honor to deliver this keynote at the ASEAN Energy Business Forum on behalf of Gamuda, especially in the presence of so many like-minded people and organizations. A lot has been said about the APG this morning, so I promise I'll talk about something a little bit different and share our observations from working around the region. For those unfamiliar with us, Gamuda is Malaysia's largest construction company with a market cap of over 30 billion ringgit, or about $8 billion US. As we approach our 50th anniversary next year, we look back on 5 decades of delivering innovative breakthrough infrastructure solutions across the region. We are currently developing and constructing over 15 billion USD of critical infrastructure across Australia, Singapore, Taiwan, and of course back home here in Malaysia. We also have a 30-year history of doing PPPs across APAC. Interestingly, not many in the hall today would describe Gamuda as an energy player. Our goal today is to change that perception. So starting around 2019 and moving into the 2020 COVID years, even on our traditional infrastructure projects, we began to sort of notice some interesting shifts. A perfect example is the Gali Batu multi-story bus depot, which we recently completed for Singapore's Land Transport Authority. This bus depot was initially designed with a capacity for over 600 regular buses, but somewhere midway through the project, around 2022, Singapore decided to convert it into an electric bus depot. So obviously, substantial redesign was required to incorporate the EV charging infrastructure, including the advanced fire protection systems and water curtains to manage the unique risks of EV fires. And we also saw some different shifts in our Taiwan business as well. For many years in this market, we were building tunnels for metros and rails, but in recent years, we started winning a lot more contracts to build tunnels for transmission instead. One of our recent contract awards was to build the 345 kV underground transmission line in Taichung, the project on the left, which we are building to deliver renewable energy to Taiwan's most advanced chip-making hub for customers like TSMC. And of course, a sizable part of our construction order book in recent years has been dedicated to building hyperscale AI data centers. Our multiple big tech DC clients are very impatient people and demand that we build these facilities faster and faster as they try to get ahead in the AI arms race. Malaysia, as you all know, has become a hotspot for data centers thanks to our proactive government policies in attracting these multinational investments, as well as the readily available power, water, and land. So even in our traditional construction business, we were feeling the clear impacts of the global megatrends of AI, of electrification, and corporate sustainability. It became obvious that this was a pivotal moment for us to move into the renewable energy sector or risk being left behind. Gamuda, as some of you may be aware, is very active in the Australian market. And I just want to share this graph with all of you from AEMO's Electricity Sector Statement of Opportunities 2025. From the earlier projected baseline from just a few years ago, indicated by the blue line, which is relatively flat-ish without too much demand growth, the latest projections indicate that demand may actually triple by 2055, primarily driven just by DC and EV adoption. So quite a huge jump from just a few years ago. Bringing the focus back to our home region, according to the International Energy Agency, ASEAN alone will account for 25% of the increase in global energy demand to 2035. And this is precisely why the IEA, for the first time in its 50-year history, has set up a regional office outside its Paris HQ, right here in Southeast Asia in Singapore. Recognizing this once-in-a-generation opportunity, Gamuda began our renewable energy journey just over 3 years ago. For a major infrastructure player like us, this was quite a natural and seamless progression. The same end-to-end delivery expertise in civil engineering, in design, M&E, interface, project management, and financial modeling, which we honed on mega infrastructure projects and PPPs, is now being deployed to develop and build large-scale solar, wind, batteries, battery storage, and transmission assets across the region. In just 3 years, this strategic pivot has resulted in a robust and growing 3-gigawatt pipeline for our group. Today, we have the privilege of building the largest solar, wind, and battery hybrid plants in a number of Australian states, as well as critical transmission infrastructure like the Mariners Link connecting Tasmania and Victoria. We're also the largest hydro IPP in Malaysia, currently constructing the Ulu Padas Hydroelectric Dam in Sabah. So once in a while, when I still hear things like, what? Gamuda is in energy? I had no idea. My response would be, yes, we most certainly are, and in a very big way. We believe that our regional presence in this sector, which extends even beyond the political and economic boundaries of ASEAN, gives us a differentiating perspective, if I can call it that. Each country is at a different stage of its clean energy transition, shaped by its own blend of industry, politics, and geography. A one-size-fits-all approach won't work, and each nation requires a tailored strategy that considers not only its national context, but regional ones as well. So we'd like to share some interesting key observations from our experience working across the region. To date, almost every ASEAN member state has announced a net zero emissions target. The timelines and framing vary. Note the optimistic or sooner qualifier on some, and this is to be expected, as every nation must balance its climate ambitions with economic development, grid stability, and unique resource availability. While the momentum is building, one thing is constant across the board. And this is that for every ASEAN nation, a far greater effort is required to meet their national goals. Australia also has a 2050 net zero target, but with a crucial difference. Their net zero target is legislated and enshrined in the Climate Change Act 2022. So it isn't just a national pledge, it's a legally binding commitment. And looking at the emissions trajectory, you can see the steady progress since 2005. However, the graph also makes it clear that the pace of decarbonization must accelerate significantly, even in Australia, to meet the 2050 target. And this legislation is actually a very powerful catalyst. It creates certainty and drives a whole-of-government approach, and the impact on investment is undeniable. In just the last 7 years, Australia has seen a 10-fold increase in renewable energy investment, and when policy leads with conviction, unsurprisingly, capital will follow with confidence, our Gamuda capital included. And of course, when investment pours in, market dynamics evolve. With more plants being built, the competition for grid connection points intensifies, and this forces new projects to be located further and further away from load centers, requiring connections at higher voltages. To offset these higher connection costs, the commercials dictate that the projects themselves must get bigger, and this trend towards larger and larger developments has been further enabled by the falling cost of solar and wind. We at Gamuda, of course, love the scale at which we can operate in the Australian market, because we're set up to be more efficient at these scales, which is unsurprising given our bread and butter of delivering multi-billion-dollar infra projects across the region. We're now building many of the largest solar, wind, hybrid plants in Australia, all of which are at least a few hundred megawatts in size. We're also seeing a very rapid evolution in energy storage. In the past, 1 or 2 hour batteries were much more common, primarily used for frequency control services to smooth out short-term fluctuations in the grid. And now as battery costs decline, longer duration storage is becoming more commercially viable, and the market standard is quickly shifting towards 4-hour systems, designed for energy arbitrage and firming renewable output. This shift is very evident in Australia, but also in Malaysia, where we're very encouraged to see in the recent My Best tenders, as well as in the CREST program, that a 4-hour BESS is specified. And even longer duration storage is emerging. Traditionally, mechanical storage like pumped hydro was dominant for longer duration energy storage. For example, the Capricornia Pumped Hydro project in Queensland, which we are developing together with CIP, is designed for 16 hours of storage. However, these projects face significant challenges: long construction timelines, extremely complex engineering, high upfront costs, and lengthy environmental approvals. Projects like Snowy Hydro 2.0 in Australia have highlighted these risks with significant costs and program overruns. In contrast, BESS is modular. It's faster to deploy, and costs continue to fall. However, it does have a shorter operational life. Our 585 megawatt Goulburn River solar farm, which we are building for Lightsource BP, is set to be the largest hybrid solar and battery plant in New South Wales, and when completed, it will have a 10-hour BESS. The industry is now at quite a fascinating intersection. We're weighing the sort of long-term resilience of pump hydro with a 100-year design life against the ever-increasing flexibility and falling cost of batteries. The technology landscape is also evolving rapidly with new chemistries, for example, like flow batteries, potentially offering the best of both worlds. So this will be a very interesting space to watch. We also need to be thinking more about the role of AI and cloud computing in managing the sheer complexity of the modern energy grid, which is growing at both ends of the spectrum. On one end, we're building massive utility-scale renewables, and the integration of these intermittent power sources requires a new level of sophistication. On the other end, we're seeing a surge in decentralization, with additional complexity coming from aggregation of smaller assets like rooftop solar and EVs, with more unpredictable bidirectional energy flows. And this is where AI and the cloud have become indispensable. They provide the intelligence needed to orchestrate everything in real time and keep the system stable. As this digital intelligence becomes deeply embedded in our critical infrastructure, it raises new important questions around data security and sovereignty. And for answers to this question, please visit our Gamuda booth in the main exhibition hall. We have answers to that too. And this brings us to a fascinating paradox. The AI boom is undeniably one of the biggest drivers of new renewable energy demand. Yet, AI is also the very tool that can unlock unprecedented efficiencies across the entire energy and climate spectrum. It's not just about making the grid smarter, but AI is accelerating the discovery of new materials for batteries and carbon capture. It's optimizing global supply chains to cut emissions and making our cities and industries vastly more energy efficient. So this leaves us with a thought-provoking challenge. Can the systemic efficiencies that AI unlocks across our entire economy outpace the energy it consumes? Can the intelligence we are building become the very key to solving the energy challenge it created? Will AI one day achieve energy neutrality? Food for thought. So what does this all mean? Simply put, the opportunity in front of us is an opportunity of a generation. To align with global climate goals, ASEAN needs to add 382 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2035. This translates to an annual investment of $56 billion needed every year until 2030. The sheer scale of this transition is too big for any single company or government. It demands a new era of collaboration. There's a role for everyone in the room, for engineers, for constructors, for financiers, for corporations that buy this clean energy, and for governments who enable the necessary frameworks. The opportunity is enormous, and the success requires each of us to find our unique place in the chain and work together to drive ASEAN's energy goals. And this is why Gamuda's strategy is built on forging powerful collaborative partnerships. We've invested in ERS Energy, one of the region's top solar EPCCs, building some of the largest solar farms across ASEAN. We're collaborating with Gentari, Petronas's independent clean energy solutions entity with a 9-gigawatt portfolio across APAC. We've partnered with SD Guthrie, one of the world's largest plantation companies, to unlock their vast strategic land banks for RE development. And we work with leading global energy partners like Aola Energy, Lightsource BP, and CIP, not as the EPCC contractors, but as their long-term delivery partners and builders of choice. The energy transition has many facets and requires a diverse range of skills. And this is why we're building an ecosystem of dynamic partners who have complementary strengths and share our ambition. I'll tell you a funny story. When we first expanded our RE business to Australia, we were quite excited. We looked at their open market, with dynamic spot prices and merchant opportunities, and we thought, wow, this is where the real action is. So different from the boring, closed energy market in Malaysia. Then, not too long into our journey, one fine day, one of our Australian partners said something that caught me completely by surprise. He said, "Justin, I can't understand what you all are doing here in Australia. I'd rather be doing RE in Malaysia." And I was confused, so he explained. He was so envious that our RE market in Australia is premised on long-term fixed price PPAs. He observed that RE investment in Malaysia is stable, it's bankable, and financing is relatively easy with good access to deep and healthy capital markets. And meanwhile, in an open market like Australia, you have the headache of merchant risk. So much so that the Australian government had to step in with the capacity investment scheme just to provide a revenue floor for projects. So that's when it really hit me. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Each market is different with its own risks and rewards. And the ones who will get ahead will be those who can best understand that risk and structure investments that align with the unique profile of each country. One of the most powerful drivers of this transition is corporate demand. As you can see, 6 of the world's 8 largest corporate buyers of renewable energy are active right here in ASEAN. Companies like Google, Microsoft, and Amazon are building massive AI data centers and have ambitious goals to power them with 24/7 carbon-free energy. Their huge constant demand and strong credit ratings make them the perfect anchor customers to get large-scale renewable projects financed and built with long-term PPAs. So how do we connect this massive corporate demand to the supply of new green renewable energy? In Malaysia, the answer is the Corporate Renewable Energy Scheme, or CRES. We see CRES as a brilliant piece of policy from our friends at Petra and the Energy Commission that kills 3 birds with 1 stone. First, the clear framework directly addresses the huge energy demand from AI data centers, securing Malaysia's place as a top destination for digital investment. Secondly, it helps fund grid upgrades. Under CRES, developers pay a system access charge, and this creates a dedicated funding stream for the necessary grid upgrades to handle this new variable RE. And third, of course, it accelerates Malaysia's national RE and decarbonization targets. Smart, market-driven policy that aligns corporate, national, and infrastructure goals. For Gamuda, CRES provides the clearest path to aggressively scale our RE portfolio in Malaysia, so do come and talk to us if you're interested in buying a few terawatt-hours of clean power. However, while the opportunity is huge, the path forward has its challenges. Energy players are facing significant global headwinds. As these headlines show, we're navigating major supply chain constraints with lead times for critical components like transformers stretching for months and years. Geopolitical risks such as new tariffs and trade wars disrupt the cost and supply of equipment, and even if you can secure your financing and equipment, projects can get stalled. We see examples where hundreds of megawatts of renewable capacity get stuck across the region, waiting for grid connections or regulatory approvals. Navigating these issues will require deep delivery expertise and resilient partnerships. Finally, perhaps the biggest challenge of all is talent. The unprecedented scale and speed of the energy transition has created a global war for talent. We need more engineers, more project managers, more data scientists even, and a larger skilled workforce to build and maintain these assets. The availability of skilled people is quickly becoming the single biggest factor limiting growth. To close, I'd like to leave you with this image of the Ulu Padas hydroelectric dam in Sabah, a project that's particularly close to my heart. Behind this single picture is a universe of complexity, giving a sense of the challenges we must overcome to bring these critical projects to life. The picture you see up on the screen is not an artist's impression. It's a highly accurate digital twin of the project, built to scale with drone scans and GIS data. Even every single tree is mapped to its exact height, and this is the actual model our teams use for construction planning. The digital engineering challenge alone is immense. But beyond the screen, our teams are navigating other real-world challenges. These range from geotechnical hurdles like tunneling through fault zones to designing for climate resilience and protecting our friends the sun bears, as well as securing long-term financing that makes green energy viable against subsidized fossil fuels, all guided by the internationally recognized hydropower sustainability standard. Ulu Padas is a powerful reminder of just how exciting and multidisciplinary this work is, requiring digital engineers, geologists, environmental scientists, financiers, and governments to all come together to deliver a single project. And this brings me back to my final point. The complexity of projects like Ulu Padas proves that no single organization can do this alone. The energy transition is not a simple value chain. It's a complex ecosystem of stakeholders, as you can see represented here. The opportunity is so vast that the challenge for every person and every organization is to identify where we can create the most value. For Gamuda, we're still on that journey, but we're beginning to find our place. ASEAN's clean energy transition is a powerful economic driver for the region. Gamuda will play an integral role by applying our end-to-end engineering and development expertise to deliver the critical renewable energy and sustainable infrastructure that will underpin this growth. We're all still in the early stages of this great transition, and the opportunity ahead of us is immense. The future of energy in ASEAN is something we must all build together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Justin Chin. Will AI neutrality ever happen? Food for thought indeed. Can something trained on our own imperfections ever be perfectly neutral? Only time will tell.